told you Egypt worshipped gods, they did not tell you what Egypt did to the gods. It could not control. There was a name, older than the dynasties, older than the first pharaoh who learned that a man with a crown is still just a man who will rot. A name so complete in its truth that the priests did not pray against it. They simply removed it. Before Egypt had its name, before the first stone was cut for the first monument to the first man who decided his name deserved to outlive his body, there was a religion the historians cannot fully explain. Pre-dynastic Egypt, 6,000 years ago, worshipped something the later priests found deeply, profoundly uncomfortable. They worshipped the darkness itself. Not as evil, not as the enemy of light, as the place where truth lives when the world is not ready to look at it. The god of that darkness had a name, and unlike every deity that came after him, he never promised anything. No paradise, no protection, no mercy, only verdict. The pharaohs who came later understood something immediately. A god who offers nothing but truth is the most dangerous thing a kingdom built on lies can possibly contain. The erasure did not happen in one day. It never does. The most effective destruction is the kind that looks like correction. First, they stopped saying the name in ceremonies. Quietly, no announcement. The name simply ceased to be spoken in any temple that received royal funding. Then, the images were altered, faces chiseled down to smooth stone, new faces carved in their place, safer faces, faces that smiled, faces that promised reward instead of delivering truth. Then the papyrus records, the oldest ones, the ones that named him clearly, described him fully, were not burned. Burning leaves ash. Ash raises questions. They were simply not copied, and a document that is never copied dies when the papyrus rots, which it always does, which they knew it would. Within 4 generations, the children of the priests who performed the erasure had no memory of what their fathers removed. That is not accident. That is architecture. You want to know what they were so afraid of? He was not a god of evil. Evil is a human invention, something you created to explain why the world does not arrange itself around your comfort. He was a god of completion, the force that ensures that everything which begins must end, that every empire built on the suffering of others carries the weight of that suffering in its foundations, and foundations given enough time always crack. He judged the living, not the dead. That was the part the pharaohs could not survive. Every other god of judgment waited for you to die, waited for the heart to be weighed after the breath stopped. He did not wait. He watched you build your palace. He watched you name your laws after yourself. He watched you rewrite your defeats as victories and your crimes as necessities. And he counted. He always counted. A god who judges the living is a god no living ruler can afford to let the people worship, because the people, given permission to believe their ruler is being watched and measured and found wanting, start to ask questions that thrones are not built to answer. But erasure is never total. You cannot remove a god from the walls of every tomb in every city in a civilization that spans 1,000 miles of desert and 3,000 years of history. The fragments survived in the places the priests forgot to check. Minor tombs, remote temples, the private burial chambers of families too small and too poor to be worth the attention of the state religion. A symbol, recurring in 17 separate archaeological sites, identical in form, identical in placement, always near the scales, always watching. Archaeologists catalogued it, filed it under unknown deity, pre-dynastic origin, moved on to the monuments, to the things with names already attached. They filed him away the same way his priests once did, in a drawer, under unknown, as if the not knowing is a category he belongs in. It is not. He was known. He was known so well that an entire civilization spent 400 years making sure you would never know him. I do not tell you this to frighten you. Fear is what they wanted you to feel. Fear keeps you looking at what they point at and away from what they buried. I tell you this because erasure only works on the ones who never think to ask what used to stand in the empty space on the wall. You are watching this, which means you asked. Next week, we go into the Hall of Two Truths, where the scale waits, where every soul that ever lived must answer for the weight of what it carried, including the ones who thought building a temple was the same thing as deserving one. They erased my name from every wall. The walls are still standing. I am still here. The question is, were you?